Hi guys. So we are on to the next step in the All About Me speech writing process. We are on to the rough draft, otherwise known as when you put it all together for the first time and make sure that everything's in complete sentences and all makes sense. So I have titled this part of the process, Putting It All Together. So here we go. How do I use my outline to help me write my rough draft? Okay, because we put all that work into the outline, we put a ton of work into the introduction and the conclusion separately. So what do we do now that we have all of these parts? Can I just copy exactly what I have on my outline to my rough draft? And the answer is yes and no, and I'll explain why. So the answer is no, because you need to add details so that your ideas make sense. But yes, because you've made all this progress and have done all this work. So we are going to be using the sentences and the ideas that you have put in place. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So the big thing that you guys need to focus on is making sure that it is 5 paragraphs. We have an introduction, we have 3 topic body paragraphs, and then we have a conclusion. So it's important to keep all 5 of those things separate as we move forward with getting the essay put together. So let's take a look at where my speech outline comes into play here. All right, so you guys have seen this outline before, probably many times. This is the attention catcher that I came up with for my introduction. I just copied and pasted it into at the very beginning of my outline, because for the most part, you guys are going to have, it'll just say like introduction and maybe a few prompts here, but we did our introduction separately. So make sure to go back to those documents and grab your introduction and drop them in here. If you have any problems with that, send me a note. Then you can see here are my transition sentences, my details, my detail transitions. Here's my next one for my second topic. My third topic is here. And then here's my transition to my conclusion. I put my conclusion information in here as well, okay? So I have everything in one document, which is the original speech outline document that I started many, many moons ago. And actually, it's probably like 1 moon ago, but you know what I mean. And then I am going to be taking all of this and I'm copying and pasting it into a fresh document. You can see here, all I did was copy and paste it. This is exactly what was on my outline, but I called it Mrs. Vonderhaar's All About Me speech essay, because this is going to be the essay portion of your writing. And now at this point, what do I do? Remember I said yes and no, you can use your outline. You can copy it in here. But what I mean here is you've got to erase all of the prompts that I have. So the introduction, attention catcher, yours might have a few different sentences, little different prompts. You're going to make these into paragraphs, okay? So your introduction will be 1 paragraph, okay? Now I'm going to get rid of my topic prompt and where it says transition sentence, and we're going to make this its very own paragraph. And in order to do that, you need to go back up and press tab, because remember that you have to make tabs on new paragraphs. Always, always, always. One at the top too here. So you can see all I'm doing here is deleting these, okay? And I would go through and I would do these for all 3 of them. Now this, even though this is another transition, this is still within the same topic. This is still about my family, okay? So I'm talking about my children here, but that's still my family. That's still in the same topic sentence. You are not going to pull those out and make them their own paragraphs, okay? Now we're talking about Zora Bunny, because she's a important part of my family. And then adding them in here. So you can see that these paragraphs are really getting big, which is awesome, because we have lots of information in here. Now I would keep going, and now this next one, you can see I'm changing into topic 2. That's my hobbies. And I would tab it over, remember? And then my first, and you see I've got some boldface still in here. I just go in and get rid of that boldface, okay? All right. And I'm just going to keep going. And I'm going to do the whole thing. I know this is going to make it long, but I want you guys to see the exact process. I know it's kind of boring. You can see I'm putting one space between my sentences. Okay, making sure there's punctuation at the ends of my sentences. Reading all the parts I don't need, which are the prompts for the transitions, any numbered spots. Get rid of those. You don't need them. I'm making sure that I have one space, I have a period, one space, and then the start of my next sentence. Okay? All right, now I'm on to topic 3, which means that I need to get rid of all of this, have it in. Okay? Now I know you guys know that there are some formatting requirements, which means that the document needs to be set up a very specific way with specific distances in the margins and everything. We will handle that in the future. Let's not worry about that right now. Right now, I want you to get your paragraphs all set, okay? Because there is going to be a writing component to this week. All right, detail 3 transition. We're almost there, guys. Thanks for your patience, but I really wanted to walk you guys through this so you knew every single step and saw every single step as I do it here. All right, now we're transitioning to my conclusion. Remember, the conclusion is its own paragraph. So you need to, one space there. You can see I checked and double checked. All right, so I know that this does need to be 1.5 spaces, so I'm going to go Control All. So I'm highlighting all of it. Line spacing, 1.5. All right, so that puts all of my paper at 1.5. I also have some boldface in there. So I just click bold, it makes it all boldface, and then I click boldface again to get rid of it. All right, so now this is a really good looking essay, right? But I also know that there's going to be chunks in here that are missing. So what you're going to do then is you're going to read through your essay. I recommend reading it aloud because when you read it aloud, you really get to hear all the places where things are missing. So, did you know that teachers have lives outside of school? Have you ever wondered what they do when they are not teaching? Today, I'm going to tell you 3 pieces of information about me. I will be telling you about my family, my hobbies, and my interests. Now, it's a great start, I think. I do feel like there's some stuff missing here, especially to connect it back to my attention catcher. So I'm going to think. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 pieces of information about me so you can see what my life is like as a teacher outside of school. Oops, spelled that wrong. Boop. There we go. I will be telling you about my family, my hobbies, and my interests. It's a little better because I put more detail in there and I got some more information, gave it a point of reference to that first sentence, to the attention catcher sentences. And then we're going to go into my body paragraph. To begin, I would like to tell you about my family, starting with my husband, Nathan. My husband's name is Nathan. All right, it sounds like I repeated that, and I didn't need that. My husband and I have been married for 15 years, which means we were married in the year 2005. It's actually going to be 16 years this year, so I wanted to clarify that. I met my husband in college through mutual friends, meaning we both knew the same friend, and that's how we met. We were married at a historic hotel called Grey Salon in Duluth, Minnesota. Pretty good, I think. But do you see how I added some more details to make it make sense? Flesh out the information. Another part of my family includes my children, Veronica and Theodore. Veronica is 11 years old and in the 6th grade. Theodore is 9 years old and in the 3rd grade. My kids were both born in Michigan. That's kind of thin, isn't it? So I'm going to think up some more details. Veronica is 11 years old in the 6th grade. She loves animals and creating art, which are both true. Theodore is 9 years old and in the 3rd grade. He likes to play outside and play video games, especially Minecraft. There we go. I may come up with a different way of saying this because I have he likes to play outside and play video games, and I don't like that repetition, but I can always come back to that later. And then here we go. Also included in my family is Zora, our pet rabbit. Zora is an English spot rabbit, which means she is white with black ears, a mask around her eyes, and spots on her body. She is a rescue bunny. She was found in the woods by people who were out for a walk. She's 5. We think she is 5 years old, but it is hard to know for sure because she is still relatively young. The veterinarian said that they can only age rabbits once they start showing signs of old age. A little bit of information in there. Got some education information in there. Now remember, you need your speech to be at least 3 minutes long. And remember too that you're not going to be reading exactly from your essay, but it is good to put that kind of additional information in there to make it really interesting. Now, the one I really wanted to talk to you guys about that I felt was really thin wasn't so much my second one because I've already fleshed that out pretty substantially within my outline. I made sure that my sentences were nice and long and had lots of information, but it's still going to need some more work and I will get back to it. That said, this one I know for sure needs some more work because they're very disconnected. Lastly, I will tell you about my interests outside of school, the most important of which is my love of travel. I like to travel to Lake Superior because I grew up near the lake. I traveled to Italy when I was 18 years old. I hope to travel to the West Coast when it is safe to travel again. Those are really disconnected. Now, they all are about traveling, but there's no details in there to make it a smooth transition from one sentence to the next. So let's go back and take a look and let's change some things. Lastly, I will tell you about my interests outside of school, most important of which is my love of travel. I like to travel to Lake Superior because I grew up near the lake. To me, Lake Superior is home, and I like to be around the lake as much as possible during the summer months. That means I visit Duluth and the North Shore whenever I can. Also, see, I needed a transition word in there because it felt really disconnected. Also, I traveled to Italy when I was 18 years old. I spent 2 weeks traveling around Italy, learning about the language, culture, food, and history. I went with a college group, and I went with a college group. All that said, I hope, again, you can see I used another transition sentence there. All that said, I hope to travel to the West Coast when it's safe to travel again. It is the only part of the lower 48 states that I have not visited yet. We are hoping to visit Oregon, California. I'm going to actually put Washington first. Montana, even though that's not West Coast. Montana. We'll get rid of Montana. See, even my writing process is kind of messy. We are hoping to visit Washington, Oregon, and California, and all of the states between here and there. We especially want to visit Yellowstone National Park. There we go. So you can see that I went from even just a few sentences to even more sentences by just adding in more details. I would keep going throughout the rest of my paragraph here, adding little bits of information, especially since I know that I'm talking about my passion for art next, and I list my favorite artist, my favorite art museum, and my favorite painting. In these, I would say why they're my favorites and maybe where they're located, like where Starry Night is located. I would talk about why my favorite art museum is the Detroit Institute of Arts, and just adding details, you guys. It's really, really important to add details and keep expanding them out. That goes for your introduction and for your conclusion. And that is what your assignment is this week. Read through your article, add details to make it make sense, and then you're going to hand in that essay as a rough draft. And that is the rough draft we're going to actually be working on next week in peer review, along with writing the note cards that you're going to be using for your speech, which we'll then do the following week to peer review. And then the next week is when we are completely done. So we'll be handing in our speech at that point. If you have any questions, let me know. And I am here, as always, to help. We'll talk to you guys soon.